Cool. Again, this is Vince. From now on, I guess you could refer to me as Coach Vince because I want to be able to coach you through this whole process of not only how I exercise, but how the right way to exercise is a lot of times the wrong way people go about it. So the right way in my case, if it makes any sense, is what I'm going to show you right now. Now, all exercises should start with a warm-up. And as you can see right now, I'm on top of the treadmill. It doesn't matter the brand of the treadmill. It doesn't matter where the treadmill comes from. As long as it's a working piece of equipment, you can accomplish the easiest part of exercising, which is considered the warm-up. Now, a lot of people like to warm up in many different ways, whether you be an athlete or a bodybuilder, or just in this sense, somebody who's just trying to get fit. Now, I just went on the scale not too long ago and kind of feel ashamed of how much I weigh, but I'm at 232 pounds. The last time I weighed 232 pounds, I was a high school football player, and I was also considered a lineman. And as you already know, a lineman for high school football is not a glorified position. It's kind of like the unsung hero, but that's neither here or there. So the most part, I'll just explain how the treadmill works for those of you who don't quite understand what it is, and I'll show you the beginning steps. And after that, I'll go through my little bit of a warm-up, maybe about 5 to 10 minutes worth, and then we'll go right into the exercising that has to do with the weightlifting, and I'll give you a little bit of taste of what my world is about. Cool? All right, so as you notice right here, this is obviously a treadmill. Sorry, messed that up. Remember, no editing. We're not pros at this. Cool. All right, so the treadmill consists of so many options, so many things, and a lot of times it can be really intimidating, and I don't blame you, especially when you're not familiar with fitness and you don't quite understand how fitness equipment works. But I'm gonna be here through the whole step. Any questions from here moving forward, if you have anything that you wanna ask, feel free to ask me. There are plenty pieces of equipment that are in here, such as Stairmasters, you have other treadmills, you have other types of equipment like the elliptical, things that are really, really beneficial for cardiovascular reasons, okay? So what I usually like to start off with is something that is considered manual. If you take notice over here, it's a manual button. Once you press the manual button, the computer for the machine is gonna prompt you to enter your weight. As I told you, 232, can't really hide that, I just told you guys that already. Now I'm gonna go ahead and either put between 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15. In this case, I'll put 10 minutes. Now, as the treadmill starts, you're gonna wanna see that there's an incline and a speed. Most treadmills have an incline and a speed. The first thing I wanna do is I wanna raise the incline. The reason why I wanna raise the incline is because it's gonna challenge my body to use more muscle instead of using just straight line speed. And what I mean by that is, what will you benefit more from? Walking up a hill really slow or walking straight for a long period of time? 9 times out of 10, just walking up a hill is cardiovascular enough. And then I'm gonna take the speed and just raise it up to maybe about 3 miles, which doesn't seem like a lot, but if you take notice, right here, 3 miles at an incline of 6% can have a big impact cardiovascularly to your lungs, to your heart, because it's challenging your body. Now, again, if you do have a treadmill at your use, where they have the fans, and it's a hot day like today, which I don't mind the heat because I'm wearing a sweater in the middle of July, which is kind of stupid, but you'll see how stupid I get sometimes. Anyway, always feel free to use the fan. Just press the button, the fan will turn on. Normal fans usually have like a high, low, or medium, or whatever the case may be. It doesn't matter. Always, when you are on a treadmill, elliptical, Stairmaster, or any other type of cardiovascular equipment, you want to make sure that you have water on hand. It's never good that as you start exercising at any point in time, beginning, middle, or end, that you don't have some type of hydration with you, whether that be water, Gatorade, or anything that has electrolytes and minerals. It doesn't matter the brand. I know a lot of people stand by their brands. They stand by the product that they use because XYZ told them so, or because they feel like it works for them. My best advice for you, go what works best for you. If water is the best thing for you, then use water. If you like water that has a high pH level, which is starting to be a very popular thing for a lot of people related to anything or wanting to use, then fine. You have plenty of brands out there. There's plenty of research out there that will back up your brand if you like it. There's plenty of research out there that will tell you that the water you've been drinking this entire time It's probably the same as a fucking toilet. Who knows? By the way, excuse my language. I have a bit of a dirty mouth, but I don't care. So, give you a backstory, right? I got about 10, 15 minutes to explain to you what is the reason behind all this. Okay. You know how everybody when they're young, you kind of get to feel out what it is you want to do in life. You're artistic, you like to dream big, you're athletic, all these kinds of things, right? Well, somewhere in my life, I really wanted to be somebody important. Not just for me, but for my family, you know? In my family, there really aren't a lot of big name, important people that do important things that other family members brag about. So I wanted to make my mark. I wanted to set an example for my kids. I wanted to make my parents proud. And I also want to be proud of who I am. Not that I'm not, but there's always room for improvement. So I decided a couple of years going back, why not do something that a wise gentleman kind of gave me enlightenment to and said, you know, would you ever consider joining the police force? I said, no, I didn't think about it. A couple of months passed. I take the police exam. Found out I scored really well in my hometown, by the way, which is Plainfield, New Jersey. And from one thing to another, I got accepted through a certification process, and I went through the whole orientation and etc. In that time, I realized that in order for me to accomplish my goal of either being an officer or anything else, a public servant really, I realized that I had to start giving more effort to being that person at the best of my ability. A lot of times you're going to find people that kind of just like politically swindle themselves into positions. That's not cool. Why? Because there's someone else that's more qualified than you are, and you're just taking that opportunity away from them, and you're not really letting them fulfill their dream or what they feel like they're meant for in life. Did it happen to me? Nah, I don't think so. I just think that a lot of the choices that I made when I was young, not holding a job long enough, didn't look too good on my resume. And unfortunately, I received a letter from the police department from the chief explaining that because of my work history, it wasn't too good. So they decided to, I guess, disqualify me and move on to the next candidate for the next graduating academy classes, etc. Well, within that time, I like to take a rock and skip it across the lake, so to speak, to see how many times it'll hop. So I hopped on to the next opportunity, which is to be a firefighter. When I took the firefighter's exam, I also scored well in that too. I got ranked 36. Now, they haven't quite opened up any positions right now. It's kind of hard to be a firefighter because those guys will squeeze it to like 60, 70 years old if we're up to them. But I decided that's what I want to do now. Again, it goes right in line with being a public servant to the community, to the people, to your family, and giving back to those people that you see every day that you care about. And I strongly believe, and I strongly suggest, that if you don't feel that way, or that maybe you never thought that it was important for you to feel that way, you should. I always preach that to my kids. I'm not going to try to preach it to you. I think my actions, I want them to speak louder than my words. So as you watch me through my experience, one, I want to get my weight down so that I'll be good enough not to be only a firefighter, but hopefully a police officer as well, if I work it out that way. I know you can't be both, but I guess you know what I'm saying, right? Secondly, along with this experience or this journey, I want to give as much knowledge of what I learned in a period of time that I've acquired all information from many different people of any different walk of life on how to be fit, how to live, and where it works best for me. Am I perfect? Of course not. If I was, I don't think I would be doing this video. But what I can do is what I do with my kids and what I do with family and friends who lean on one another for good things to fall onto for others. I can give you all the good knowledge, all the good experience, all the good information that I have, provide it to you, and hopefully you can do the same thing with it and give it to another person, that being your child, friend, family, whatever it is. Especially now, how crazy the world is, with so many things happening, we need now to stick together more than ever. So, anyway, that was kind of a beginning story to what this all really means to me. I'll be honest with you, I'm nervous. I don't think that I'm going to do this better than most people do. I'm not going to have a lot of editing and a lot of fireworks and so forth and so on added into it. But I just want to make it real raw. I want to make it real simple for everybody to understand, because the better you understand me as a regular person, maybe you'll feel more comfortable to want to open up your life to others and let them see who you are for what you're worth. Right about now, I got about 8 minutes and 30 seconds in. I kind of forgot how long I was doing it for. The good thing is, if you take a look on this treadmill, a lot of times treadmills will explain to you the information on top on what exactly you're doing and how much time left you have, or what else do you need to do in order to reach your goal. So in this case, because I have it for, I guess, 10 minutes, it says that there's 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. I just walked roughly over 1.5 laps, which is not much, but it is what it is. And in my case, you'll realize something is better than nothing. And again, treadmills are pretty self-explanatory. I don't think the creator of a treadmill, or treadmills of all different brands, they don't want to make it complicated for you to understand how they work. And it's really not as difficult as you think it is. I've had clients who were afraid to walk on a piece of treadmill because they thought that it might be too overwhelming for them. But when you first start on the treadmill, you want to start off at a relatively easy pace. Well, what's the easy pace? All the terminology, blah, blah, blah. Real slow. Start off at 0.5 or 1 mile per hour. It's not that hard. And you don't have to put it on an incline. If you want to put it on an incline, that's fine. Put it on an incline. But if you want to put it as something that seems reasonable, I would say put it at 0.5. Because in reality, and here's a little bit of food for thought. The reality is we never walk on a flat surface. We're either walking downhill or uphill. And a lot of times you won't even realize it, but that's because the world isn't flat. Or so they say. I don't know. That's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. I really don't give a shit. But anyway. So, never really want to walk on a flat surface. And you really don't want to walk at a too comfortable of a speed. And what do I mean by that? You don't want to walk outside and walk really slow, like you're doing a Missy Elliott video and you're doing like some slow pop like. No. But funny enough, I've actually seen videos where people will walk on a treadmill at like 2 miles per hour and they'll do stuff like this and all kinds of crazy stuff. That's up to you whether you want to do it. There's so many ways to take fitness and evolve it into other things that make it fun and exciting. And that's something that you have to figure out for you, not just for me to explain it to you. This is why I'm doing this, because there's so many ways to make fitness fun and exciting. And I don't want to keep it to myself anymore. And I really don't want to give it to a select few, because sometimes you do that and you feel like you haven't reached out far enough. So if YouTube is the way for me to reach out, then I'm going to do that. And while I'm doing it, and you're starting to see my life change and me metamorphosize into something different, I hope that you can enjoy it. I hope you can relate. If you don't like me, if you want to bash me, that's fine. I got thick skin. 29 years old. In August, I'm turning 30. I don't care if you got something bad to say. I don't care if you got something crazy to say. All that I care is that if you're saying something, the one thing I know that I'm doing that's working is I got you thinking. And that's all that matters. Now, there'll be times where I have my brother or other family members who are wise people in my life sit down and kind of give you a taste of where I was learning and what I was learning as I was growing older in my life. Because I feel like they should express their feelings too. So you'll see more of that as time passes. What?